Hey guys, in today's video I'll be doing another tropical update on Tropical Storm Gamma, which has now emerged off of the Yucatan after bringing lots of heavy rain and wind to especially the northern part of the Yucatan, including Cancun and Cozumel. And now it's back over the waters. It's now in the Gulf of Mexico, in the southern portion of the Gulf of Mexico, off the northern coast of the Yucatan. It is now at 60 miles per hour. Pressure's at 996 millibars, and it's moving north at only 2 miles an hour. It's moving very slowly, so it's a big problem. Thankfully, it's not as big as a problem as it could have been if it was like moving extremely slowly like that over the Yucatan. But still, it's moving very slowly. It gives it more time though to potentially strengthen more. And with it moving this slowly, and the fact that the Gulf of Mexico waters that it's moving into, especially in the very western part of the Gulf of Mexico, are some of the warmest waters in the entire Atlantic basin, it will really have that potential to strengthen enough to potentially get to hurricane status, even though it had a bit of a chance, in fact, right before it made landfall in the Yucatan, but it was moving just a bit too quickly to do that, though. It got to 70 miles per hour, just short of becoming a hurricane. So we could see that again, but this time it could potentially even get to hurricane status. And then, of course, we have Invest 92L, and with as of the 8 a.m. advisory, the newest advisory that just came out, it has a 70 to 80% chance now of development, of tropical development. This system is pretty much for sure going to form into a tropical system as we get towards Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Most likely Monday, Tuesday is around that time frame where it will likely at least get to tropical depression status, I would think. And the NHC says that the associated shower and thunderstorm activity is beginning to show some signs of organization. Environmental conditions are expected to be conducive for additional development, and a tropical depression is likely to form within the next day or two. So again, today is Sunday, so again, Monday, Tuesday is around that time frame. As I was saying, that it will likely become a tropical depression. And then it says the system should move west-northwestward at 10-15 miles per hour across the central and western Caribbean Sea today through Tuesday, and then move into the southern or southeastern Gulf of Mexico on Tuesday night and Wednesday. And then, of course, just real quick, mention these other two disturbances the NHC is monitoring. These two will not do anything. In fact, I don't even know, again, why they even really started monitoring these two systems. They will both not be able to do anything because of strong upper-level winds. Now let's go to the 5-day graphical tropical weather outlook, and you can see the area that NHC has lined out for where Invest 92L will be able to develop will be from where it is up through the northwest into the northwestern Caribbean and through the sweet spot between the Yucatan and Cuba into the southern Gulf of Mexico. So if it's able to kind of go a little bit more on a southerly track through this area and go through that sweet spot into the Gulf, then it will have literally the best chance possible to strengthen as much as it wants. So this system is really going to be the next big system, big tropical system we're really going to have to watch, and the next system that we might actually see impacts to the United States from going into the middle to end of the week, this week starting tomorrow. Especially the Gulf Coast from Texas through Florida, really the entire Gulf Coast should really be watching this system very, very closely. Now, let me show you the cone forecast for Tropical Storm Gamma from the National Hurricane Center real quick. And you can see the NHC has it continuing north for the time being and then curving back down towards the west and southwest into the Bay of Campeche. And really just, it seems like it will just be meandering and chilling out here in the southern Bay of Campeche. And then after that point, after really Friday, is a big question mark into whether or not maybe it does a loop and goes back north, or it just curves back north, or it just continues down to the south and west and continues to dissipate. We'll really have to watch that closely, because if it at all seems that it will start to head north in some fashion, then that's going to be a huge thing that really Texas, Louisiana are really going to have to watch out for going into this next upcoming weekend into the following week. So that's a big concern there. Now let's go to tropical tidbits, and I'll show you what gamma is looking like currently on the satellite imagery. And you can see it is currently just north off the coast of the northern Yucatan Peninsula, and it has lots of great convection still with it around the center. Still has some decent spin to it, some decent vorticity. The outflow is slightly less pronounced right now, but still has some good outflow in some portions of the storm. And we'll likely, as we go throughout the rest of today into tomorrow, and especially the early part of this upcoming week, we'll probably see the system strengthen, I think, a little bit, maybe to just about hurricane status, around 75 miles an hour, maybe 80 miles per hour, before it really starts to weaken and starts to dissipate as it looks right now. So that is something to really just keep your keep your mind on. Keep thinking about that. Now, here's the hurricane model track guidance, and you can see it seems that a majority of them take the storm down to the south and west, and then some of them start taking it towards the north. This generally shows you that they really don't have a good handle on what the system will do, especially as we get towards the middle of the week this week into the end of the week this week, because it could really go north after like Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, or continue down to the south and west and dissipate. So we're really gonna have to watch that part really closely, especially as we get towards the end of the week. Now, the model intensity guidance forecast as of right now shows the system likely kind of weakening from this point onward and kind of just generally staying in tropical storm status up until we get towards around 7 days out from now, and then you can see there's a bit of an increase in potential intensity according to some of the models. But then there are some of the models that keep it around the same intensity and then try to strengthen a bit more before it starts to potentially maybe dissipate or something. So we're really going to have to watch that closely. So that's very interesting to keep note of. Now, going to show you Invest 92L. As of right now, the 92L has really started to look a bit worse than it did yesterday, but I think this will really rebound pretty quickly, especially as we get towards tomorrow and Tuesday. And you can see a majority, really all of the convection is suppressed down to its southern part, with the center is more or less exposed generally, it seems, with no convection whatsoever around the center or north of the center. But again, I think we'll just have to give it the rest of today into tomorrow and Wednesday for it to really rebound and start to look a lot more like a tropical system. And then I think we'll likely start to see it become a tropical depression pretty quickly soon afterwards. Now I'm going to show you the hurricane model track guidance, and then what the GEFS ensemble model track guidance is showing, and then the GEPS ensemble model track guidance is showing, and then the intensity model guidance, because all of these are really fascinating to see, because there's a lot of models now that are showing 92L, all in great agreement, going to the northwest, maybe clipping Cuba a bit, and then heading into the Gulf, and all of them really generally take it towards the southeastern Louisiana, Mississippi coastline. So that is very, very interesting that they're all in good agreement about that, in fact, and with that being pretty far out still. Don't want to, of course, I don't want to freak anybody out, but people living in New Orleans, Biloxi, and those regions should start to really monitor the system, probably the closest, it seems, right now. But again, just everyone along the Gulf Coast definitely monitor the system, because anything could happen with the system where it tracks, because it could go northwest, clip Cuba into the Gulf, but then curve towards the Florida panhandle, or continue towards the northwest, farther towards the Texas coastline and southwestern Louisiana coastline. So we're really just going to have to watch out this one very, very closely and see where it will go. We'll have a much better look into where it will go, though, once it is finally a tropical depression or tropical storm, since at that point we'll have the NHC's forecast cone showing where it will likely track towards. The GEFS ensemble model track guidance also shows very good agreement on where it will go, and has it becoming a pretty strong storm and then curving in towards the southeastern Louisiana coastline as well. So that's pretty interesting. So we're really going to have to watch this closely. The GEPS, this is the CMC ensemble model track guidance. It generally has somewhat good agreement and shows somewhat good agreement on where the system will go, but it shows it hitting the Florida panhandle and then going off of the East Coast and out into the Atlantic and dissipating. And then there's just like one model that has it tracking much farther south and west, crossing the Yucatan into the southern and western Gulf and hitting Mexico. So really, this model ensemble just it really isn't looking great for it. This is a big thing that I really want to show you guys. This is the newest model intensity guidance forecast, and all of the models pretty much, except for maybe one, has it becoming a tropical depression, tropical storm within the next 12 to 24 hours. That is pretty concerning. Now, I think we may have to give it slightly more time, but I think in general, this has a good handle on when it will likely become a tropical system. And then all of the models take it into hurricane status, pretty much, except for this one, which is like I don't really know what this one's doing. But really, all of these reliable models, honestly, are taking it into hurricane status category 1, category 2. One of them takes it into category 3, and one of them even takes it into category 4 status. So, again, this system could definitely become a hurricane, and even a major hurricane is not out of the question with this system. It just doesn't look as likely at this point yet as it becoming a hurricane. But if it's able to generally stay over the warm waters of the Western Caribbean and in the Gulf, then all bets are off for how strong the system will get. So really, we're gonna have to definitely watch the system extremely closely. Now, let's show you what the models are showing for the systems for Gamma and NMS92L. The 12Z run of the GFS is just coming out. Let me see how far this takes us. Oh, okay, this takes us generally far enough. This is fine. All right, so again, here's Gamma, and then here's 92L down here. We bring this forward in time. The GFS has it, again, meandering around the Yucatan, dissipating, and then there's 92L, going northwest through the northwestern Caribbean Sea, through that sweet spot, and generally near the Cuba and the Yucatan, into the Gulf, and becoming a pretty strong system, and heading, it seems, moving closer towards the Texas, southwestern Louisiana coastline, but becoming a very powerful system, it seems. If I zoom this in so you guys can see this better, it shows it getting down to I believe that says a 984 millibar low pressure system. So that's a pretty decently strong system for what the GFS is showing for it right now, which is very interesting. There is definitely potential for that, and potential for it maybe to get even stronger than that. So we'll really have to just keep an eye on it. Just really, this Invest 92L is going to be a very interesting system to track and see where it will go. The CMC model, again, here is Gamma over here, and then Invest 92L. As we move this forward in time, CMC model has Gamma dying out, and then there's 92L, showing it much weaker of a system, and then curving it back towards Florida Panhandle and out into the Atlantic off the East Coast. I don't really foresee that being all that likely whatsoever, but I mean, I don't know, we'll see. And then the European model. There's Gamma again with that very strong tide vorticity there, and then there's 92L. We bring this forward in time, shows Gamma slowly dying off, and then the European model, though, doesn't have that much doesn't show really that much vorticity or good handle with 92L, but does show that showing better amounts of vorticity with the system as it approaches the southeastern Louisiana coastline, Mississippi, Alabama coastlines, getting towards a week from now, next Sunday. So that's very interesting. We're really gonna have to keep an eye on that. So again, that's very interesting to take note of. But it seems like these three main models, the European CMC, GFS models, are all starting to finally start showing this Invest 92L and showing the potential of the system, starting to become a tropical system and a stronger tropical system potentially. So really, we're just going to have to wait, though, until we get into this week and into the early middle part of this week to really see the models start to really coalesce and show good agreement on how strong they potentially think the system could get and where the system could likely track. But as of right now, it seems like they don't have great agreement on generally how strong the system will be or where it will track, though. Though the GFS, I think I'm gonna really have to side with the GFS on this one today, with what it's showing now. So that's really concerning. Definitely looks like we're definitely going to get Delta later this week, going towards getting towards Wednesday. I think definitely getting towards Wednesday, Thursday. We'll definitely see Delta be named. I think. So now let's go to the 2020 Atlantic hurricane season Wikipedia page. We've had a total of 25 depressions, total of 24 named storms. This is the most active Atlantic hurricane season we've had since 2005. This is the second most active Atlantic hurricane season since 2005, with a total of 24 named storms. And it has pretty much been trying to break and has succeeded in pretty much trying to break all of the crazy records. Honestly, it's just been nuts. We've had a total of 8 hurricanes, 2 major hurricanes. So, with regards to having the amount of hurricanes, total major hurricanes this season, has been that crazy, though. I think it seems like we'll be adding at least another 1 hurricane and major hurricanes to the total so far this season with 92L. I think, and then of course we have a total of 138 fatalities total this season so far, and total damage is now at $24.225 billion. So this hurricane season hasn't been terribly damaging, but been a pretty damaging season. So that's been pretty interesting. Of course, we've had that really big uptick in activity, especially as we got towards the middle to the end of August, when we had Laura and Marco, and then we had a huge amount of increase of named storms and tropical systems being monitored as we entered September, and then with that we got to the Greek alphabet because of that, and now we have Gamma, the third name on the Greek alphabet list. And now Gamma, the third name on the Greek alphabet list, with now that it's formed on October 2nd, it is the record earliest 24th named storm on record, beating Hurricane Beta of 2005 that formed on October 27th. So we are well ahead of 2005. The total ACE so far this season is at 101.3625 units, and that will likely go up as we start to see Gamma continue to move and still be alive, and then start to see 92L most likely start to become a tropical system. And then, of course, we'll have to see how strong 92L becomes, because it could be a pretty big ace maker, and really boost that total ace we've seen this season really higher up. But really, it just depends on where it tracks and just how much land interaction it has between now and as it enters the Gulf. Because if it has no land interaction before it enters the Gulf and then it enters the Gulf, really will be able to strengthen, I think, as much as it wants. So that's a big concern. But again, we've had a total of 25 systems, including Tropical Depression 10, which we had earlier in the season, that didn't become a named storm, but we've had a total of 24 named storms, so still just crazy season. Then they're still trying to figure out how much total damage Paulette caused, how much total damage Teddy caused, how much total damage Beta caused, and how much total damage Alpha caused in the end. They're still trying to figure that out. It's still unknown, but Sally caused right around, or maybe a little more than $7 billion in damage, killed 8 people. So it was a pretty damaging Category 2 hurricane. And I think there's enough evidence that, in fact, on post-analysis, as we get towards the spring of 2021, when the WMO has this big meeting to survey this year's hurricane season and 2019's Atlantic hurricane season, that they'll update Sally to being, in fact, actually a 115-mile-per-hour Category 3 hurricane at landfall. I think there was definitely enough evidence that it made it to weak Category 3 status as it made landfall. And I do think Laura may have been more of a 155 to 160 mile per hour hurricane. I think it might have just barely gotten to Category 5 status, I think. Just looking at how it was on satellite imagery and everything, and just the damage it did. So we'll just have to see, though, on what the WMO thinks next year. But we're likely going to see a bunch of names being retired from the 2019 Atlantic hurricane season, probably this year's hurricane season as well. We'll see a good amount of names this year's hurricane season be retired, I think. But again, that's it for today's video, guys. Really hope you enjoyed it. Really hope you enjoyed this update on Gamma and Invest 92L. 92L, again, will be a really big system we're going to have to watch. Most likely our next major tropical system we're really going to have to watch for a pretty decent chance of U.S. impacts, potentially major U.S. impacts along the Gulf Coast as we get towards the end of this week into the weekend. And because this system definitely looks like it could be a pretty strong system if it doesn't interact with Cuba or the Yucatan too much, and even if it, Again, even if it does, like, let's say, barely scrape Cuba and enter the Gulf, I don't foresee that really having too much of an impact on the system. I gotta say, maybe it'll delay its strengthening process a bit, but really not that much. So I think in any case, in the end, we'll see 92L become a pretty strong system if it does end up really tapping into its very conducive environment with, of course, the very warm sea surface temperatures and the fact that there won't be really that much wind shear or dry air that we'll have to contend with. But again, really hope you enjoyed this video. Please consider liking the video, commenting on the video. If you did enjoy this video and you're a first-time viewer of my channel and you like this video and like this kind of content, tropical content, I do tons of tropical content on my channel, so please consider subscribing, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Bye.